Hey there, folks. Welcome to The Faithful Skeptic. So today I'm going to cover two stories about plastic and paranoia. So one more company has decided to ban plastic drinking straws, Mariot hotels. So, I guess it's like that whole thing with the plastic soda can holder things that apparently a few years ago a sea turtle was found with a drinking straw up its nose, because apparently that's more likely than a stick. Anyways, oh, but the plastic straw, that's artificial. It must be evil, Stick's all natural. So it's okay if a turtle gets a stick shoved up its nose, that's fine. But plastic drinking straws, we need to ban those because, turtle noses. The whole thing's absurd and silly and stupid, but I guess when you have a post-industrial capitalist society and everybody's fed and bored, they start finding silly things to complain about. So yeah, I guess add Mariot hotels to the list of goofy companies. Actually, in this case, they're probably trying to save money instead of the environment and just trying to pass it off as saving the environment because, hey, we're not giving you straws with your drinks because sea turtles, not because we're cheap. Because, yeah. Anyways. So that's the first story. The second story, I don't really have any interesting comments on people banning drinking straws because of sea turtles. It just is absurd and silly, and you should see how absurd and silly it is on the face of it. I shouldn't really have to explain it. So the second story tonight is the Cody Wilson, the inventor of the 3D printable gun, is he didn't win the lawsuit. The State Department settled with him. So he is now allowed to publish the plans again for his all-plastic 3D printed single-shot 22 long rifle pistol. Those of you who are not familiar with guns, that's not any more powerful than a BB gun, and it's a one-time use thing. It's like not even a real weapon. Really just a proof of concept and a political statement about the futility of gun control. But, he came out on top in the legal challenge. So the story is that the State Department tried to shut him down based on ITAR regulations because the plans were being downloaded overseas, and the ITAR restricts the transmittal of weapon information overseas. The last years of the Obama administration, they tried to push a bunch of crazy stuff through under the ITAR regulations. So they tried to make it illegal to have like gun training videos and things like that on YouTube because they could be downloaded overseas. Luckily, that never went anywhere because it was just such a gross violation of the First Amendment that they didn't really get anywhere with it. But they were trying to do the same thing here. And again, as a First Amendment issue, this is not classified stuff. This is not strategic information. This is a single shot 22 caliber pistol. But it does bring up the interesting questions about, the futility of gun control. So there's another case out of the UK, and I want to say that it's 70s, but maybe it was more recent than that. But basically, in protest of their expanding gun control, a guy went to his local hardware store, picked up some sheet metal, and built a submachine gun in his garage with a welder and a vise and a hacksaw. a lot of people don't realize that, firearms technology is really, really simple and really, really old. Fundamentally, you're looking at 15th century technology. There have been substantial advances since then, but think about there were weapons fielded during the American Civil War that would still be combat effective today. So the Gatling gun, and we actually still use Gatling guns. They're just electrically driven now. And the 1860 Henry repeating lever action rifle. It's old technology, 160 years old almost, and it's not that far behind an AR-15 in terms of combat effectiveness. It took almost 100 years. It took 100 years for military strategy to catch up with the technology, but the lightweight intermediate caliber carbine has been around for 160 years. So you're not, you talk about AR-15s, oh, it's big, it's scary, it's, so powerful, but it's not any more powerful than stuff that was available at the end of during the Civil War. And those guns, again, progressed rapidly. By the 1890s, they were actually more powerful than an AR-15. And again, as it turns out, that was more power than needed, which is why the AR-15 was invented. There's the fact that this technology is not new. It's not nearly as sophisticated as people think. It's actually pretty easy to build a gun in your garage, and actually people do it, and it's legal, and people do it like it's not that big a deal. There's actually a whole industry of people selling parts kits to build a gun in your garage with a hand drill and a vise, basically. It's not going to be the best gun in the world, but you can do it. Again, you can never really enforce gun control without having radical restrictions on free speech, because this is pretty simple technology. And, to ban basic scientific principles, ban the teaching of basic scientific principles to prevent people from making weapons is kind of insane. And so I guess, chalk this one up as a win for liberty. And just remember that, this isn't, can't control people's behavior by limiting access to technology, because the technology is going to work its way through the cracks. No society has ever been able to keep technology out of the hands of people who want to use it, ever. People find a way, if it can be made for you, it can be made for somebody else. Somebody can figure it out. Think about drugs. A lot of, MDMA is not something that is, it's not a natural product. It takes a serious lab to make that stuff, and people do it. It's not, they're not stealing it from licensed labs. They're not doing anything all that complicated. They're just making it. They're figuring out how to get the same equipment that the licensed lab would use and make it themselves. And right now, yes, there is no black market for homemade guns, because for the most part, it's easier to just buy them or steal them, even in places with strict gun control. But, at the end of the day, you can build an AK-47 with really basic machine tools, and you can build, a lever action rifle by hand if you want. It take a while, and you can the lever action will run on black powder and really, really old technology. We haven't pushed we haven't pushed the regulations far enough to where that form of black market has manifested itself, but it's like, that's a possibility. So there's only so far you can ever push it. And that should, in theory, discourage people from going down that road and trying to modify people's behavior by limiting access to 150-year-old technology. So I don't have anything else to say about that. I will see you again tomorrow. And if anybody ever watches this, I hope you enjoyed it. See you later.